So far, through BCM 303, my group, the Comms Click, has worked really well together on creative alignment. When we're all in the room together, the ideas seem to click and we all work. The week 4 classroom session is the best example of this. It's really the first time that I felt we were all talking to each other and able to really work together as a group. And that brainstorm session led to our strongest segment, which was week 5. But outside of physical meetings, communication has been consistently thin. The pattern across the semester so far is the same 2 or 3 people, myself included, are the ones prompting the group chat, flagging deadlines, and problem solving when things fall through. The others tend to come online last minute once everything is already solved. Besides unequal workload, this also shapes the creative work itself because the same people are driving logistics and creative planning every time, narrowing down what the work could be. The clearest illustration of what this cost us was in week 7. We had a segment with a guest planned, and from what I understood, as I hadn't heard otherwise, everything was locked in. When 2 days out from the briefing deadline, it fell through. While I tried to message the group chat and organize alternatives within those days, responses only came from 2 people. Silence from our other group members meant Faye and I had to reach out to our tutor and pivot to a different mode, meaning we weren't able to meet our platform requirements. This was a failure waiting to happen as communication issues had been building throughout the semester, and I definitely just absorbed the anxiety of non-response rather than pushing for accountability to be reached earlier. My biggest contribution has been in the planning. Briefing segment and camera direction has often fallen to me. For the week 5 segment in particular, Faye and I spent an hour on the briefing document. And I was able to come into the shoot knowing the briefing and the script inside out, and that's visible in the footage, where cuts are timed to the beat of conversation and not just guessed. Now, breaking down the experiments. Week 3, watching the footage back, you can see the nerves and the individual preparation being a structural problem of the segment. The segment is organized into different topics rather than a genuine conversation, and that's visible in how we hold ourselves on screen. However, when watching the footage and the feedback we received from others, it is very visible that the longer the segment goes on, the more comfortable we get and the panel concept begins to work better. We also learned a lot about how to better plan a set for other weeks, more aware of how much the visual set impacted the segment. Week 5 was definitely our best week with the news desk segment. Having face-to-face prep time in week 4 really elevated our group work and allowed us more conceptualizing and planning. The highly scripted format worked well. It made the whole segment really tight and cohesive and very effective with a strong energy and identity. It came in short of the 10-minute requirement. However, the format worked really well and easily could have more components added, expanding on different topics or keeping it all focused on AI. I think it could all work very well. In week 7, the Where Do You Stand segment, it wasn't our ideal creative swing, being extremely derivative of the Jubilee Spectrum videos, but with the restraints we had, I thought I was able to put together some really interesting questions that provided insight into the community, and I think if expanded upon, it could work really well with a wider variety of students from the university or even a wider variety of members from the community. I definitely think the segment worked best when we used well-framed static shots that really captured the movement of the participants. I'm excited to go into the final testing weeks with stronger scripting, planned camera shots, and knowing how our different segments look on camera. Looking forward, there are 2 things that experiments have told me quite clearly. First is that the week 5 footage shows that we have a segment that can really work, and it ran short, but I think it shows that our group really flourishes with pre-planned segments with a strong framing and scripting. And this also flows on into, it was our best camera direction and work as well. And secondly, the collaboration from this semester, not just my experience of it, but the pattern throughout the semester, really shows that there needed to be some kind of infrastructure in place where everyone has a specific role or nominates for a specific task ahead of filming week. And that role is specific and deliverable. And that change is small in design, but really significant in effect. Because it converts from that anxiety, waiting to see if people are doing their work or are going to chip in, and into just being able to follow up on a named commitment. I am really excited to move on in this subject, and hopefully with stronger ideas and a new perspective on how my group works. It'll be really exciting.